What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally, and I mean literally, does not work. I hope everybody's having a great day. I don't know if I'm having a great day or not. It's been kind of rough today. So we got a lot going on, and it seems like it's everything but what's going on the field. Jerry Jones, our fearless leader, thank God we got Jerry Jones. What would we be like without Jerry? I'd sure like to find out, but that ain't going to happen. Anyway, we've got Diggs, who has a tear in his calf, which is the reason why he has not played all week. So we don't know if he tore that in the game before he was called out about not, tackling. That maybe that's the reason why. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there, and maybe that's why Diggs went off on the reporter, because he's saying to him, "You're just looking at this one play. You don't know what's really going on." That he was injured, and basically trying not to acerbate it. I think that's the right term, the right word, and so on. So that's what Jerry Jones said in his press conference today on the reason why he has not been practicing this week and doesn't know if he'll play this weekend or not. You got to think, if there's a tear in the muscle as a cornerback trying to, plant, cut, and move and everything else, that would tear it some more. I don't know. It just seems like that's not a good injury. So we haven't gotten a definitive answer on how bad it may be or how long he's out or anything like that. So there you have that. Jerry Jones, of course, says he didn't anticipate it being this being a rougher year than what he thought it was going to be. He didn't anticipate it being so rough. Kind of interesting that he didn't anticipate it being so rough. Well, it is. It's real rough. It is horrendous right now. So let me put it this way. The importance of this game, okay? Let's be real here. The importance of this game. You might remember in 2018, the Cowboys being at an inflection point like this. We were 3-5 to start the season, and we looked completely hapless. Completely hapless. Our wide receiving core was not very good. Dak was struggling, and we just couldn't get right. The Cowboys traded for Amari Cooper, and we went on a nice run to finish the season and ended up winning our division. Great way to end it. So we started out 3-5, and we made the playoffs. The Cowboys have started out 6 times at 3-5, and they made it to the playoffs just once. Here's another one for you. Cowboys starting off 4-4. I forgot how many times they said the Cowboys started off 4-4, but they made the playoffs twice at 4-4. So winning this game is paramount. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you don't win this game, we're screwed. We are screwed. So there's that. That's just where we are, people. We got no room for forgiveness. Micah Parsons isn't going to play. Probably not going to play. You got to figure Diggs is not going to play. Deron Bland is not going to play. And for Jerry Jones saying it's rougher than we anticipated. It's funny because it seems like every move... Oh, hold on. So it seems like every decision the Cowboys have made this offseason has literally been wrong. You can look at it right now. We went the season, we said, it'd be great if we ended up bringing back Stephon Gilmore. Didn't bring back Stephon Gilmore, because they said he's too expensive to want a 2-year commitment. But Bland has been out, and Diggs has been recovering from ACL, right? Now, we may get Bland back, but we may end up losing Diggs. So that move is a mess. Dan Quinn, letting him go. Our defense went from, a defense that couldn't stop the run, but was a ball-hawking defense that at least got takeaways, to the worst defense in football. You literally are, right now, we'd opine for what we did last year in the running game, from run stopping. That's how bad this is. This is historic bad. Drafting our offensive tackle has not been good so far. That's been one of those ones where you let go of the offensive line and said, we're going to be okay right there. That's kind of blown up in our face. Our offensive line is not good. You think about saying Mozzie Smith is going to be our lead dog on the defensive line, and we're going to go ahead and we're just going to get some journeymen. Worst run-stopping team in the NFL. Bringing back Zeke. What Zeke has for the season right now is what he used to have in a game. You have the worst running team in football. Bringing back Mike McCarthy after hamstringing him. It seems like instead of getting more comfortable with the offense, it seems like we just got worse with it. Waiting to sign CeeDee Lamb. Brother, seriously. What were you thinking? CeeDee Lamb, or maybe even signing CeeDee Lamb. Maybe we need to look at that and say, maybe we shouldn't have signed CeeDee Lamb. He seems like he's got some growing up to do, and so on. And taking our time to get it signed, he wasn't ready. He was not ready to play. So you can't honestly look at anything that the Cowboys have done this offseason and say, that was good. Everything has literally turned to crap. It's like the football god said, enough is enough. You're done. You're done. It is scorched earth policy when it comes to the Cowboys. You are not only going to lose, you're going to lose in dramatic fashion and be embarrassed. You remember Jerry Jones literally saying that, I'm the best one to be the general manager. Nobody's busted their ass more than me. You remember that, right? You remember Jerry Jones literally reading the riot act to everybody, basically saying, screw all y'all, I know what the hell I'm doing, and I'm going to fix this shit. Well, again, every decision that was made this off-season has been the wrong one, including Jerry Jones being the all-seeing, all-powerful, I know everything guy. It sucks. There's no other way to put it other than it sucks. But hey, other than that, we're great. Alrighty, good people. Going up to pick up, I got 100 pave stones that I'm picking up here for the red brick house, for our walkway here. And shout out to all the people. We got actually a lot of people. Lola, John just got one. Rhonda got one last night for her and her hubby. Dirty Sanchez. I appreciate everybody who has gone through and purchased a brick. Going to get it customized and helping us to raise money for getting the house registered on the National Registry. And if we can get that done, then we've done it all with this thing. We will have done it all. And I can't can't thank everybody enough for all the support from everybody. And at least I've got something else to work on besides just the Cowboys, because it sucks, man.
Well, guys, we're back with another video and a new looking office. Now, obviously the Cowboys haven't had a great start to the season, and they're playing the Atlanta Falcons this weekend, which is probably going to be a tough matchup, especially for the Cowboys defense that is just absolutely annihilated with injuries. Now, a lot of you are probably freaking out. So to make you feel better, I'm going to read some comments from people that are probably freaking out a little bit more than you are. So let's look at these overreactions as the Cowboys sit at 3-4. Let me know down in the comments which ones you do and don't agree with. So let's get into the video. Now, I tried to group all of these comments kind of by sections, so we're going to start with the coaching. Someone said, coaches call stale game plans, other teams win more games with less talent. And I think a lot of Cowboys fans feel that way. They have ever since Jason Garrett was here. For over a decade, Cowboys fans have felt like this. And I do agree that some coaches win with less talent. Do I think that Mike McCarthy is the best coach in the world, the best offensive play caller? No. But I do want to put this team into perspective just a little bit. What is Mike McCarthy working with? On offense, they have no true run game, and you can blame that on the coaches, on McCarthy, the game plan, the scheme, whatever you want to. But the reality of the situation is they're not blocking well up front, and they don't have a true running back one. On the outside, they don't have a wide receiver two. They're working with Jalen Brooks and Kevontae Turpin as their wide receiver 3 and 4. And I like Jalen Tolbert, but he's not going to consistently win as the wide receiver 2 for this team. Outside of Lamb, there's really not a whole lot of big play ability. Then you get to the offensive line where you're playing with a rookie left tackle, a bad below average right tackle. The right guard is declining. You're playing with a rookie center. And that's just on the offensive side of the ball. So the roster isn't good. We talked about it all offseason long, how the Cowboys did nothing to get better while they lost starters. It's just not good. And that's not even to mention the defensive side of the ball, where you're missing Deron Bland, Kalen Carson, Micah Parsons, Sam Williams, Marshawn Kneeland, DeMarcus Lawrence. You've had awful defensive tackle play, which is also on the roster building. You've had bad safety play with Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson. Oh, and I forgot to mention on the offensive side of the ball as well, you have one true tight end that got hurt in week 1, and nobody behind him that has really ever made an impact in the NFL. So while I agree that the coaches have a stale game plan, I'm not a huge Mike McCarthy guy. I also think there's a lot of missing talent on this roster. Coaching can only take you so far. At some point, you have to have the talent to beat the guy in front of you. Look at the Dolphins this year. They couldn't move the ball without Tua. Even though they have great wide receivers, they have a great play caller in Mike McDaniels, they've been terrible on offense. It's a good example of how far coaching can take you. The 49ers haven't been that great this year. Granted, they did beat the Cowboys, and I think Kyle Shanahan is a really good offensive play caller. But again, they haven't been awesome on offense. My point is, it's more than just Mike McCarthy, but it doesn't absolve him from all of the blame. I agree, it's been stale, boring, and it doesn't help anyone, especially Dak Prescott. Now let's talk about this overreaction next. Before we continue, I wanted to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, BetUS. They have much more than just football, basketball, baseball, hockey, tennis, even surfing. I mean, you name it, BetUS has it. But we all really like football around here, and they have NFL futures like the Super Bowl winner, conference winners, division winners, playoff specials, all of those fun future odds. They have you covered. The possibilities really are endless with BetUS. If you sign up today, you'll get a 150% deposit bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next two. So go check out BetUS, where the game begins. The Dak deal is worse than Deshaun Watson. I'm going to just flat out say it, this is a complete overreaction. The Deshaun Watson deal is going to go down as the worst contract in NFL history. Half a bad season from Dak is not going to put him in the conversation for worst contract of all time. Watson got 5 years, $230 million, fully guaranteed. Full. The Browns cannot do anything without even looking at the stats, because Dak has been much better than Deshaun Watson over the past few years. Watson's cap hit looks like $27 million this year, $72.9 million next year, 2026, $72.9 million again. And assuming that the Browns don't move any money around, no restructures, he'll still have a cap hit of nearly $27 million after he's a free agent and gone from Cleveland. Those numbers are going to stay if the Browns don't do anything to push that money down the road, which could end up making it even worse for them 5 years from now. So now you look at the numbers from 2022 to 2024. 2022 was the year that Watson got his guaranteed deal, and it's not even close. Dak earned his $40 million per year contract, and he earned his $60 million per year contract. I mean, just look at the stats. They're completely undeniable. And yes, I am considering the injury history because, fingers crossed, Dak has stayed healthy. So let's stay with the Dak overreaction. Somebody said Dak is a terrible quarterback. And I think we've seen enough since 2016 to know that that just isn't true. Has he played bad this year? Of course, at certain times he hasn't played well and he needs to play better. Earlier, I explained how many pieces that this roster is missing, how void of talent they are on the offensive side of the ball. That's just not debatable. They have one legit wide receiver, one legit tight end, and zero running game. And a lot of people hate Mike McCarthy, think he's an awful play caller. So that's where we're at with this offense. I mean, look at CJ Stroud in last night's game. He was missing his top two wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins were out. They couldn't move the ball against the Jets. I think everybody, even Dak lovers, have acknowledged how he's played this year. But I think a large majority of it is because the team is just bad. And it brings up the question, what quarterback do you think would succeed with this roster? The first person that's going to pop into everybody's mind is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes would. He lifts his teams up. They win games. And yes, that's true. The Chiefs do win games. But the reality is, Mahomes has been just as bad, if not worse, than Dak this year. And yet, the Kansas City Chiefs are 7-0. And you know why? The organization built a great roster around Mahomes when he isn't playing well. Now, I'm not trying to make the argument that Dak is better than Patrick Mahomes. I'm not completely delusional, but context does matter. I believe if Dak had that Kansas City defense, he could probably lead this Chiefs team to 7-0. Much like the Cowboys, the Chiefs have no wide receivers. They have a decent run game and one tight end that they trust, and the best play caller in the league in Andy Reid. You just can't expect a quarterback to cover up all of your roster holes. It's the Cowboys and organization's job to reduce the amount of deficiencies a team has. It doesn't make Dak a bad quarterback if he's not winning every single game. And I think this comment is an overreaction. All right, let's head on to our next one. We already talked about the first half of this overreaction, so let's talk about the second half. The Cowboys should trade Micah for 2 first-round picks and rebuild. Okay, I'm not big on trading star players, especially quarterbacks, wide receivers, defensive end, corners, any of those premium positions. I'm not really interested in moving those players. Now, I am going to say, with all of the roster holes that we talked about earlier in the video, I think if someone calls, you listen. I'm not saying you make the trade, but you listen. If someone would have made this comment last year, I would have called you crazy. I would have said absolutely not. Right now, though, sitting at 3-4, I'll listen to the idea, but the risk is still just too high for me unless you're getting an insane package back, because the chances of finding pieces to replace what Parsons brings to the table is very, very slim, even if you have 3 first-round picks. But I also think with the pending contract, the way that the roster is currently constructed, the way that the Cowboys like to operate, it's a conversation worth having. I also kind of want to hear it so I don't have to listen to Jerry Jones and Steven complain about Dak, CD, and Micah's contracts every offseason from now until eternity and why they can't pay players. I don't think trading Micah is an overreaction, but like I mentioned earlier, Dak's not a bad quarterback. Let's do a little speed run here. This guy commented, probably an overreaction, but I think we can win the division. We, as in the Cowboys. And I'm going to say overreaction. The Commanders, unless they completely collapse, and you're really going to need two teams to collapse like the Eagles did last year. But the Commanders and Eagles are starting to pull away from the Cowboys in the division. Cowboys have an insane schedule coming up, so I think this is an overreaction. I don't think that Dallas has a chance to win the division. Dallas might finish with a top 5 pick. I'm not going to say it's an overreaction, but I am going to say it's extremely unlikely. Like a lot of people, a lot of Cowboys fans, you probably think that Dallas is one of the worst teams in the league. And as bad as they've been this year, they still sit at 13th in the draft order, at least before the start of week 9 or wherever we're at. And they have teams like the Giants, Cleveland, Vegas, New Orleans, Jacksonville, New England, Tennessee, Carolina. All of those teams are significantly worse than Dallas. Now, I did say overreact, and it would probably take the Cowboys losing out to get in the top 5 or only winning 1 or maybe 2 games. But I don't think that's going to happen. If anything, they're going to get to that 8-win mark, that 7-win mark, and be somewhere in the middle. I don't see them coming out with a top 5 pick. So that's all of our overreactions today. If you have an overreaction, drop it below in the comments. I want to start doing videos like this where I listen to you guys, listen to your comments, and kind of react and give my take to them. So if you have an overreaction that you want me to talk about next week, comment it down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Cowboys predicted to land RB Nick Chubb at trade deadline. The Dallas Cowboys have struggled to find a consistent presence in their backfield this season, even turning to the practice squad this week and veteran Dalvin Cook. One outlet predicts they could find help at the upcoming trade deadline, targeting a 4-time Pro Bowler on a team that could be willing to sell. Vinny Iyer of the Sporting News ran down a list of potential deals at the upcoming deadline, predicting the Cowboys will make a deal with the Cleveland Browns for running back Nick Chubb. Chubb has 27 carries for 74 yards with 1 touchdown in 2 games since returning from last year's season-ending knee injury. Iyer suggested he could be a good fit for a Cowboys team struggling to find a top running back. The Browns need to get Chubb to a contending team's backfield, Iyer wrote. The Cowboys scream good fit as they've resorted to Dalvin Cook for help. This makes sense for both teams if the Cowboys are willing to part with a mid-tier trade asset. Rico Dowdle emerged as the top running back for the Cowboys, though he has just 246 yards and no touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott has also seen time in the backfield, rushing for 149 yards with 2 touchdowns. The team turned to Cook in Sunday's loss to the San Francisco 49ers, but he failed to bring much of a boost. Cook rushed 6 times for 12 total yards. And you fans? What do you think about Nick Chubb in Dallas? Leave your opinion in the comments.